First of all, thank you so much, Grace, for joining us today. First of all, Grace, I'd like to say congratulations on your news yesterday for 30 under 30 for Forbes, specifically in marketing. How does that feel?
How does it feel? That's a great question. I am delighted, but to be honest, the accolades aren't what I'm doing it for. You know, I see it as a stamp of credibility. I see it as something that's going to sort of open more doors for me. But it's funny because everyone's, you know, so congratulatory and so kind in their reaction, but it doesn't feel like I prefer that reaction when I've like built something or done something or launched something. But I have to take a step back and go, no, it's a reflection of all the work you've done. Like, take the praise. But to be honest, I find out at the same time everyone else finds out, and I had a really busy day yesterday, so I don't think I've processed it properly yet.
Always seems to happen, doesn't it? Those like moments and you're like, oh, I actually still have day-to-day life to live.
Yeah. My boyfriend was like, should we celebrate? And I was like, when? I was like, what time? And he's very sweet, but I was like, we've got work to do today, like maybe at the weekend.
For anyone who doesn't know you yet, can you give us a little bit of background?
No,
I know. I was going to say, I felt like when I wrote that question, I was like, so anyone doesn't know who you are.
Oh my goodness. I mean, 99.9% of the population don't have a clue. Yeah, I'm a creator entrepreneur. So what that means is I am a creator who believes that businesses should be built audience first. I'm practicing what I preach. I am across 3 different platforms. I have an audience of about 350,000 across those different platforms. And my main goal is to educate business owners, brands, entrepreneurs, founders, and creators on best practices when it comes to content, social media, and brand building, with the idea that it can enable incredible opportunities within business. So for me, it's not sort of a vanity thing. It's not a fame thing. It's if you truly understand audience and you truly understand content, you have the magic key and the magic unlock to a world of opportunity out there. I've seen that firsthand. I've seen that when I was brand director at the Diary of a CEO for 5 years. And I wish more people sort of understood this opportunity that's at their fingertips.
I love how you just skimmed over when you were at Diary of a CEO. Like that's not like a big deal, and you went there from the pretty much the very beginning.
Yeah.
What do you think post leaving Diary of a CEO? Is there anything that you can't unlearn?
There's so much. I mean, the 1% mindset that comes from Steve himself. 1% better every day. What's one thing, marginal gains, what's one thing you can do every day to get better and better and better and edge yourself towards your goals? It's not a marathon. No, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You know, you can't eat the elephant at once. You have to sort of bite your way through. And that has stuck with me, and that will stay with me forever. Every single day I'm thinking, what's the one thing I can do today? What's the one thing I can do today? And I think that's a really helpful mindset, because I've seen, and it's been evidenced in every area of my life, that when you do adopt that mindset, it compounds in your favor, because things take time. Things take a really freaking long time. And I really love that mindset. And then the other part is like the failure part. Like we were in such an incredible environment where failure was encouraged. And I don't think we would have been able to scale and grow at the rate we did without that environment around us, where we were encouraged to fail. Like, find the barriers, find the failures, find the opportunities, because behind every failure is a learning, is an opportunity. And I think a lot of companies talk about supporting failure, but in practice, they don't operate like that. In practice, if you fail, your job's at risk. Whereas we were in an environment where we were actively encouraged to fail, and it allowed us to discover the learnings before everyone else. It's what allowed us to stay one step ahead.
You spent the past, I will say, like few months building your own thing, but like you said, you've kind of had this plan for like the last year, this like transition. So how has that transition been for you, from taking off something that you built that had gotten massive, been part of a team, to now starting from the beginning, is kind of the way you phrased it in your content?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because quite early on to my work at the Diary of a CEO and with Steve, he sat me down and he said, you should start building your brand. And I think I was 23, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, what brand? What are you talking about? And he was like, just start. He was like, just start, because I think you should speak on stages, and I think you should start building a brand. And what people don't realize is that when employees build brands, it works as much for the business as it works for the individual, because I'm on stages promoting the company I'm working for. I'm on stages promoting the practices we preach and our methodologies. And I actually became a recruitment magnet. People joined the Diary of a CEO because of me. They saw my content. They wanted to be a part of it. I'd been building through content, sharing my journey, sharing behind the scenes of the products we were creating and the campaigns we were launching, and my perspective was very early to employee generated content, essentially. And it got to the point where my personal brand work was sort of overtaking my commitment to the Diary of a CEO. And I got to the point where I'd built my team there. I had 20 people there, the brand, marketing, content, social team. We'd done the Diary of a CEO. I'd built the team there. That was like running this engine. It was incredible. It was just going to new heights, like millions and millions of subscribers every month. I built the playbook and the blueprint and the team for the new shows that we brought on. So Davina McCall's show, Paul Brunson's show. And I felt like I'd done my time. I sort of felt like I'd put everything in place. Everything was running like clockwork. And for the first time, I thought, if I step away now, this thing is going to still run and it's going to thrive and it's going to be amazing because the people here are incredible. And I looked at my two worlds of my personal brand and this, and I thought, this is the time, this is the opportunity. But it wasn't sort of this big jump. It wasn't this overnight moment. Like the week I left, I was working full time in the office and I delivered 4 keynotes that week that were all paid opportunities. I made double that week for my personal brand than I did for my in-house salary. So it wasn't this big cliff jump moment. It really was this like obvious transition that anyone on paper would go, Grace, financially, you are significantly better off if you go and build your own brand. And you've created this legacy here. And, you know, 5 years in, sort of, it's okay to step away now.
So you've described yourself as a creator for creators. What does that actually mean in practice to you?
My belief is that I create content to enable other creators to understand the potential and opportunity that they're sitting on. Mm-hmm. I think of myself, I guess, as a bit of a creator economy expert, advisor, someone who can guide creators, because the opportunity of the creator economy is like it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. But you've got these creators who are relying on third-party brands to pay their income. Essentially, they've left a 9-to-5 to go into another form of 9-to-5 that's still dependent on someone else's paycheck. It's like your month to month is still dependent on a brand paying you that money, rather than creating your own revenue streams and monetizing the audience you've created by building your own business. And I'm extremely passionate that I genuinely believe the next generation of billion-dollar consumer brands will be run by creators. So, but there's this big gap. There's this huge, vast gap between where creators currently are and getting there. But that's where the white space is, and that's the opportunity. So I want to educate creators on the potential and the opportunity that they're sitting on, enable them with infrastructure and education and finance and support and capital to build businesses, because I genuinely believe if they're supported, they've already got the most powerful thing in the world, which is audience, trust, distribution. It's what most brands would go crazy for, to have that at their fingertips, to have audiences in the millions who trust them.
How do you think creators differ to influencers in that respect? Because you've stated there that that there is a difference, and you have commented on in your socials that you feel like influencing is being phased out.
The difference between influencers and creators for me is that influencers were born in a time where it was very easy to grow an audience very quickly and sell something to them, sell a third-party brand, influence them. It's extremely transactional. And so what happens is, over time, people get bored and they move on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So influencers become quite disposable, and they have quite short lifespans, because there's only so many times someone wants to get sold something to, unless they really buy into them as a brand. And that's when you shift from an influencer to a creator. When you're an influencer, you're there to influence, to sell, to provide a marketing channel for brands to sell through. That's essentially what you are. You're a live human mannequin, you know, whether you're selling clothes, whether you're selling tech, whatever it is, you're a distribution channel. Whereas a creator is thinking more holistically about their brand. They're thinking, where does this go in 5, 10, 15 years time? How can I show up as someone where I can bring an audience on the journey and transition them into a community who are going to stick around, no matter the trends, the things that change, the platform evolutions. A creator is thinking about creating more than they're thinking about influencing. But by creating, they naturally create influence because they create trust, first and foremost. They create trust, connection, and then influence comes because people will be influenced by people they buy into, by the people they care about, by the people they trust.
What do you think most creators, content creators, are getting wrong at the moment?
I think as a whole, if we're going to generalize, I really don't believe creators understand that they are in control and the brand is in service to them, because right now the brand holds the paycheck and the creator feels like they're in service to the brand. The creator has what the brand is desperate for, which is the audience. The creator owns that. That is for the creator to hold. And so when going into negotiating, when going into conversations with brands, the creator actually holds the power, whereas right now what happens is the dynamic is the wrong way around. The brand holds the power. What happens is the brand dictates on the content, the brand dictates on the campaign, the brand dictates on the sign off of the script and the sign off of the asset and the 5 rounds of amends. And by the time it's got to that, it doesn't look and feel like anything the creator created in the first place. And the result is really bad content. Whereas if the creator held the power and the creator controlled the conversations more, or was at least brought in a collaborative sense a little bit more, you'd end up with way better content that work better for the brand and better for the creator. So I don't know if it's what creators are getting wrong, but it's what the brand creator relationship is getting wrong. And what I wish would change is that a brand delivers a brief sharing the what, not the how. The what is, what are we trying to achieve here? And what role does the creator play for you as a business? Then the how of how that gets delivered, how that gets translated to the audience should be entirely left up to the creator. The creator knows their audience better than anyone else, and no one should be telling the creator how to communicate a message to their audience. That should be in the hands of the creator, but that doesn't happen right now. And I would love to see that shift.
Have you seen that shift coming?
I'm definitely starting to see a move in that direction, because we're starting to see creators come into creative director roles or more full-time roles within the business. And what happens then is they're brought on the journey. They get to have power, they get to have control. They get things like equity rather than just a transactional, here's $5,000 in your bank account. And what that does is it builds a long-term trust. And once you've built trust with the brand, they'll give you more power. So I think I am seeing that dynamic shift. And I think brands understand the role creators play and how huge it is. And I just think that dynamic, we're just going to see this shift. I just think it's going to be brands, creators, and then creators are going to be in control. And because ultimately when they're building businesses, they don't need to rely on the brand paycheck so much, you know? So they have more opportunity to say no and say, I'm not doing this if this is how it's going to work.
What are you building towards right now? And what does that look like success-wise for you?
I'm building towards building depth with my audience. So I'm less fussed about the number. I'm less fussed about how the size and scale of my audience. I'm obsessed with how many people in that audience are active and interactive. So I want to build a highly, highly engaged audience. That means when I do create product or release something tangible that requires payment, I will have an active, engaged audience, because I really, truly believe that the way to build business is audience before product. Understand your audience, listen to what they want, what do they click on, what do they care about. There's so much data at our fingertips. We can understand from putting content out there before we even go to think about generating or producing product. So for me, it's not necessarily about like scaling. I don't care if my videos do millions of views. I couldn't care less. I care that I'm building and scaling a really highly engaged audience who want to be part of that conversation and want to learn. And that's interesting for me. But my number one thing is like, I just want to add value. I want to know that like everything I share, there's one person somewhere who's listened to that, noted something down and gone and told their teammate. I want to know that someone's changed something in their business because of something I've said for the better. Like, that's what makes me feel good. That's what makes me feel excited. Like, that's knowing that I could impart little nuggets of wisdom and little parts of advice to people for free on the internet. Like, I think that's really cool. And then I don't have to charge them anything for it. I can get paid by the big brands to do the big talks, but I can distribute my knowledge to the people who I think need it the most for free.
I've been able to do this with you today, so thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you.